Well, this is super exciting, and welcome anyone who's tuning in live. And please say hi in the chat. I'm going to show the chat here on the screen. So if you're here live, say hi. Say where you dialing in from. Oh, it's not a call. I always make this mistake. I say dialing in. It's like on a conference call, but you are joining here watching. So please comment and say hi. My name is Hughberg. If you don't know me, I work with helping people build AI solutions and platforms and systems. But today I am here with Kat, which is super exciting. So Kat, where are you in the world right now, and who are you?
Yeah. So hi, I'm Kat. I am located in a very dreary Minneapolis, Minnesota today. We have a mix of snow and sleet, and we're definitely in the thick of winter. I'm originally from California. So I'm originally from the Bay Area.
Much sunnier.
Yeah, a little bit sunnier. And I like to mention that it kind of flows into my story. But I grew up in Silicon Valley, and so have always had a love for building things and problem solving, and a love for tech too.
So like, that's kind of interesting. So by just being close to it, it kind of felt like, well, that is accessible, maybe.
Yeah, and even more so, just the more than just the tech, it's this mindset, right, of problem solving. And you see a problem, and maybe there's a better solution, and how can we build that? And my dad was an entrepreneur, not in tech, in real estate, actually. But that's one thing that we would do growing up, is we would brainstorm business ideas, and how would you set up that business? And so I just love, I'm an entrepreneur through and through.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, you have your own business as it is today. So you are very much an entrepreneur. Yes. And you've also recently, you won the first season of the Livable Build-a-thon Hackathon, what we're going to call it, which is also really exciting because you do not come from a software engineering background. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. And for those who don't know, I'm based on the east coast of the US, just outside of Atlanta. So hello everyone who might be joining in. But yeah, please drop a comment, say hi, tell us where you're joining from. I see on LinkedIn we have a few live viewers, so really excited about that. Okay, well, let's talk more about what you've been up to. Obviously, it's the new year, and you shared with me that you've been thinking a bit about your journey, especially with the Livable Hackathon and what comes next for you. I actually think it'd be kind of fun to just talk a little bit about that to begin with, because I thought that was so interesting what you've been talking about.
Sure. And I'll give a little bit of background just for folks who might be curious about where I'm coming from in my life journey.
Exactly.
So as you mentioned, I do run my own business right now. I do fractional consulting. So on the go-to-market and growth side. So I work with B2B service companies, but also SaaS companies. So I love, like I said, technology, and help them with go-to-market. Prior to that, I've run two other businesses. So I started my own company. I have an extensive background in retail and e-commerce. And so I call it my Shark Tank product that I created.
Yeah.
Built it on the kitchen floor. But really it stemmed from, I didn't know how to code. And so I really wanted to start a company. I said, well, let's do a physical product. And so we sold it into the Container Store. I was a one-man band, just doing everything, going to China for manufacturing.
Wow.
It was that was about 10 years ago, and that was a pretty wild ride. And then after that, made some decisions to shut that down, but ended up running a service business, and was in charge of scaling that business across the state of Florida. That coming in, it was in the construction industry, coming in, implementing the CRM, building out a sales team. Like there were no playbooks or any, it's a very different world.
No, but that's really exciting. So you have a lot of experience when it comes to actually running a business and selling and understanding means to engage with clients and their needs.
Right. And I share all that because that really played into what I decided to build for the hackathon. And it's really built into this thesis that I'm developing that I really believe that operators, so people who are, maybe come from a non-technical background, but really understand the business that they work in, or the function that they work in, are so well positioned to build with AI, because all of a sudden you don't need to know how to code. You just need to know how to solve the problem that you're building for. And so that I'm very, very passionate about it, and want to, as we get into 2026, that's what I was sharing with you earlier, is I really want to help other operators who maybe are new to building with AI learn and start doing it. And so we can get into AI Recess and what we originally built it for, but I'm working to pivot slightly and use it to help people learn how to build with AI.
Yeah, because it's really hard sometimes if you are not coming from a technical background, and there probably are challenges. I have the luxury of coming from a technical background, and I do think that there are challenges to navigate, and I think if you can even lower them further, because the people who are closest to the problems are best at expressing what they need. And I think anyone who's worked in software has seen this like little comic that shows the person explaining what they need, and then the interpretations of the Chinese whispers throughout the journey to getting to the developer, and they're not getting it all what they described. So I think by letting people who are close to problems getting closer to actually creating the solution, they will get things that are more useful to them. I think there's so many lessons just to unpack in that. So you are looking then to even more now in 2026, help people close that gap and build solutions.
Yes. And it really was, so just from a timeline perspective, I did my first project on Lovable in September of 2025. So like not long ago. I opened up Lovable. So the timeline really is, I saw
what made you open it.
I saw so I've been a part, I love tinkering, and I've been using ChatGPT. I'm one of the early users of ChatGPT and Claude, and have just loved it. And then there was a group here in Minneapolis that sort of organically started for women interested in AI. So I started going to those meetings and learning more and more. And really in the back of my mind, I was like, I've got to learn how to vibe code. Like it seems so cool. What is it? How do I get, I need to carve out time and do it. But I was so busy with client work. And so I saw on LinkedIn, Elena, who's head of growth at Lovable, and I've followed her for years because she's a genius.
Very cool.
Yeah. And she said, hey, there's this SheBuilds Hackathon, people should apply for it. And that sort of planted in my brain. And I said, okay, well, all of the limiting beliefs came out of like, who am I I've never opened up Lovable. Like, I don't really know what I'm going to build, all these things. And I just literally remember looking at myself in the mirror. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. And I said, stop. You need to apply for this, and you need to give yourself a chance. And so I opened up Lovable because I was like, well, before I apply, I got to like look at this thing. And I ended up building my application for the hackathon in Lovable. So it was not fancy at all. Like it was a landing page with just like the answer to my questions and links to videos and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool. And it was, I think, if you read about Lovable and how it's taking off, like one of the big pieces that they've really nailed is that aha moment. And that's what I experienced.
The user delight, like it is so quick to get to that, like the user delight. And I guess there are a lot of lessons for all of us to learn there as well, to help people get that user delight moment quickly.
Yes, exactly. And so they hooked me. I put together the application, loved it, loved using the product. And then from there, was accepted and ended up building AI Recess, which ultimately won. So was not on my bingo card for 2025, but going back to what prompted this was it was such a big aha moment for me. The first Lovable prompt all the way through the hackathon and that whole experience of, oh my gosh, like, you know, I've taken like beginner Python courses. So I've always been like, and my brother's an electrical engineer, you know, like growing up in the Bay Area, if you don't know how to code, there's a ton of FOMO, right? And I definitely experienced that and was like, oh, I don't know how to build what I want to build. And now all of a sudden that's taken off the plate. Yeah, you can build what you dream about building. And so that was a huge unlock for me. And I've started having conversations with a lot of very smart people who don't know how to code, but are really great operators who are like, I've got to get in on this. And I really believe that the people who come from a non-technical background who take the time to learn how to build with AI are just going to catapult themselves in whatever industry they work in.
Yeah. And when you look at building with AI, but also the solutions that you believe maybe are good, because I found that in my day-to-day that there are tasks that I can even learn how to automate with AI. So for the 2026 vision for AI research, will that also include helping people how they can plug AI into their own workflows?
Yeah. So, and let me give a quick maybe overview. So for AI recess, the idea came from my client work where I was working with, again, clients in SaaS companies, but then also some B2B services companies. And I realized that, you know, I said I was an early user of Claude and ChatGPT for doing some of that automated tactical work. And I realized that people weren't doing that. So for example, I work with a lot of sales teams. And if you're a sales rep, you have to get on discovery calls where you don't know the person, but you've got to do some quick research, or you should do quick research to really understand who you're speaking with and what their pain points might be before you get on the call. And I realized this team, they weren't doing any of that. And so it's a really easy fix. Here's a prompt. Use it before, you know, paste in the LinkedIn URL of the person that you're working with. Here's a prompt. And it'll give you all, you know, basically your research that you need for the call. So that's
nice.
It's a very simple example, but that's what I realized. I was like, there needs to be a place where people like on teams can go and learn AI that directly affects their workflow. So it's not like, oh, learn how to do this in your off time. Like no one has off time, you know.
And you want to see, as you said, like the impact very quickly. And I think your example there with the LinkedIn profile, the sales call prep, if you talk about that aha moment that you could give someone, that is something that people can get very quickly. It's not a lot of heavy lifting to get to the point where you realize, oh, this can actually work for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And so that's what AI Recess does. Essentially, we have little challenges where it can be for a marketing team or a sales team, and you go in and you input like 4 different things. It takes you, the idea is it takes like 3 to 5 minutes to do. And then you can instantly see, oh, how does this work? And then hopefully get more comfortable with it and keep using it for other projects.
Yeah. So obviously we're talking about AI Recess quite a bit and what it is for those who don't know what it looks like, should we show them what it looks like so you can get a visual for what this is that you're talking about?
Let's do it. And I will give an asterisk of this is still sort of the MVP version, minimum viable product for people who aren't familiar.
Isn't it the minimum lovable product?
Yes, I love that. That's a better term. And so when I won the hackathon in October, of course, it would happen at my busiest point in my business, right? So I had 4 different clients I was working with. And I was like, I have no free time to keep building this out. I really want to. And so now, over the holidays, I was able to take some time to pause, look at my product roadmap for what I want to build out and have that vision for 2026 and carve out time, to keep building it out. So what we're looking at here, and I'll just scroll down. So when you log into AI Recess, I'll go back to the dashboard here. But you have a dashboard. So it's really, I refer to it as the Duolingo for learning AI at work.
That's so neat.
And so you have, the challenges, you have prompts that you can create, which I'll show in a minute. You have a leaderboard rank of where are you compared to other people, either on your team or just other people using AI Recess. But the challenges was the main piece that I built out for the hackathon. And so if you scroll down here, there are only 4. I'm really hoping in the next couple of weeks to build this out quite a bit. But an example here is Proposal Pro, right? So this is my account. So I've already done it, but it uses Claude. It should take you 3 to 5 minutes. And it kind of is similar to what we were talking about that other example, but here it says transform sales conversations into winning business proposals. So it's very simple, but you have a little bit, what will you get? So why is this worth your time? What's the impact? You're going to save time. You're going to be able to apply this to client work. And then you just answer these 4 questions. And then, 6 questions. Once you fill this in, you click generate prompt, and it'll take you to another page where you literally are prompted to just copy and paste it into Claude.
That's so neat. And what's really funny though, because I also tried AI Recess before we first ever spoke to each other. And what happened was that I thought there was AI inside of the prompt generation. And I think, is there any AI in the prompt generation?
So there is not, and I think this is important to share. So for anyone thinking, there's going to be another SheBuilds Hackathon in March. The dates are yet to be announced, but for anyone thinking of doing a hackathon, whether it's with Lovable or other no-code software, this is, so initially I was like, yeah, we're going to have an API, to Claude, and we're going to have it's going to be so cool. And then reality set in, and I was like, I have 48 hours to build this. And the thing is, a lot can break, right? And so the fancier you get with your build, and for someone who hasn't built before, an API key is fancy, right? Like I haven't done a lot of that before. And so, so I said, okay, that'll be a nice to have if I get there. But what I did was I spent, and I share this with everyone because I think it really helped me manage my time for the 48 hours. The first bit, I took the first 2 hours of the hackathon and I didn't build. I built my PRD, which is a product requirements document for those not familiar. And that basically forces you to sit and think through, what are the user flows? What challenges are you solving? And it was, again, great bringing it back to the operators. Like it was like building a mini business plan, right? Of like, what do you want to get out of this? And it was I felt at the time, because you see the Discord chat where everyone's like, I'm building this and I'm doing this. I thought I was wasting time and just overthinking it and all this stuff. It was the best use of time that I could have done at the start. And all of that's to say, it made me realize by thinking through the user flows and what we wanted to get out of, what I would submit for the hackathon, I didn't need to do AI, and I could do it by creating a templatized prompt, essentially, that people would fill in, and that would be that would suffice for the initial version.
And also they're curated, and you've tried these prompts, so you know what you are generating. So you know that by the input of the user, you are getting a prompt to the user that you have tried yourself, and you know it's good. And that actually inspired, I didn't submit this with the hackathon, but the prompts part of AI Recess, where to your point, and people have added some really cool prompts of things. So you can add yourself, so that you can add prompts, and so that's really cool. So for anyone then who might be listening to this and want to share their prompts, they can come in and actually share their own prompts into AI Recess.
And there's a voting mechanism so people can rate them. I will be adding a comment feature so people can comment, and you can start to have that interaction. sort of like a dialogue around your prompts that have worked for you. One person, I've got to reach out to her. It was so cool. She put together a prompt for basically building something in Lovable that allows her not to have to use DocuSign anymore. Oh, and I know I'm like, I've got to try this. It's so cool. But like, people are so creative, and they're sharing what's working for them. And that I think is really exciting.
I think that's so cool that you get this, like, you can also get other people to share, that it becomes a co-creation part where other people can share, and you're not just relying on your own expertise and your own knowledge of creating these prompts. So, by the way, if anyone's listening and you have questions for Kat, feel free to add them in the comments. And don't be shy. I know we have some wonderful comments here. Obviously, Armand, lovely to see you here. And we have a LinkedIn user who's saying wonderful things about Kat. Must be someone who knows you, that you are a down-to-earth person. Or maybe they don't know you. Maybe they just observed you from afar. Who knows?
I will take it.
It says I guess they were part of the SheBuilds Season 2 Build-a-thon. So that's cool. And I guess, as you said, there will be more SheBuilds Build-a-thons, so people should not feel intimidated to sign up. I guess if anyone also has questions about what would also like for Kat to be in SheBuilds, you can also ask those questions. But I do have questions for Kat, of course. And we obviously talked about where you're going next and what you're doing right now and what areas. And I'm really excited about the fact that other people can contribute to it already, and you have plans for making it even more interactive. And how has AI, we talked a lot about, like, in general, I want to know, like, how has AI helped transform your workflows overall? Because you obviously, that was a lot of what you've put into AI Recess here, like things that have helped you. And today, in your day-to-day, like on a Tuesday or yesterday on a Monday, like in your day-to-day week, what kind of things do you do that you obviously then help for other people to learn?
So a lot of different things. And so I'll start with, like, what are my favorites? Because there are a million tools out there right now. My favorites are Claude. I think we can get into the Claude versus ChatGPT debate. My preference right now is Claude. I also really use Perplexity a lot because I have to do for my client work. I often start an engagement off by doing deep market research, and so that really expedites that research. And I do have a prompt in AI Recess for Perplexity, just because I'm such a fan. And so let's say, like, for today, for Tuesday, well, first of all, I have a 5-year-old, and he is not staying in bed at night. And so, but he loves ninjas. We're into ninjas. Okay. So,
like any ninja, or like
just specific? The concept of a ninja. So ChatGPT, I use ChatGPT for this. I said, I cannot get him to stay in bed. Any ideas for a creative way to negotiate this? And its idea was, he needs to be given a special mission, a special ninja mission, to stay in bed as still as he possibly can for the whole night. And if he completes the mission, like however many times, then he gets a reward or whatever. So that's on the personal side, right? So, and from there, ChatGPT actually built, like, I really love it for, like, coloring book images.
I've done some of that for my niece, but I've generated a coloring book image for her, and of her, of course, because that's fun. So we did that for the ninja mission board and the badges that he got. So we got to color that in, and that's a whole thing. So that's on the personal side, and that was kind of like a fun thing we did. In terms of work, I really use it as a thought partner. So, an example is for my personal brand and my business in 2026. I used it to build out a whole strategy deck, really, of saying, here's what has happened in literally the last quarter of 2025 was
a pivotal quarter for me. The SheBuilds Hackathon, learning lovable, becoming a lovable ambassador, all these different things. And just really wanting to change course a little bit or pivot, right? What I'm doing. So, and basically incorporate more of this building with AI, whether it's for clients or for other women to encourage them, etc. So, that was like a 2-day process where I was like having conversations. I also feed it information of different, influencers that I follow, in the B2B world, who I think have really sharp ideas on personal branding and those different things. So it has that database to work with, and then we can build out, direction and metrics. And then from there, I copy and pasted sort of what I said, can you put this into like a slide outline? Because I want to refer back to it, right? I think it's most helpful if I come from the corporate, running businesses where you have quarterly check-ins, you have monthly check-ins. Well, I do that with myself.
That's so good that you do that with yourself.
You got to make the time, but it's worth it. And so I took the text, fed it into Gamma, which I've used off and on to build slide decks for. I think it's gotten a lot.
Gamma is what? Because
Gamma.
I use Canva for all my decks. So what is Gamma?
Yeah. So Gamma, GAMMA.app, is a slide deck builder. It's just slides, whereas Canva, you can do Instagram images and all these cool things. I was going to use Canva. That's where I went first because I love Canva. But they have a 10 slide limit or some limit to the slides. And so I didn't go there. I went to Gamma, and they did a pretty good job of putting it into slides, and then you can export it to PowerPoint. And so now I have my strategic deck, I think it's important to say, I also speak to humans about it, right? And I get that input as well. So I'm not working in a vacuum.
To help build your plan and strategy. Okay. Yes. But you use mainly, so in that scenario, you use AI as a thought partner. And does Gamma then, the Gamma presentation, that is an AI generated presentation?
It is. So you have a couple options. I wanted it to stick to the text that I had. So I didn't want it to come up with additional words, but you can. So you can give it a prompt, kind of like Lovable, and it'll go build your deck.
So you can also have Gamma on your AI recess.
Yes, we could. Yes.
Yeah.
So that, and it's gotten a lot better. Like I said, in the last, I last tried it 6 months ago and I wasn't super impressed, but it's getting better. So I use that for my 2026 planning.
That's so cool. Do you automate anything in your day-to-day life? Do you use any of those automation? I am trying to get more comfortable with the automation tooling. I'm not fully there yet. So you actually, it's quite interesting. Again, you are not from a software engineering background, but I do feel that in many instances, people like yourself who are AI power users are maybe far ahead of some software engineers, because there is some level of hesitation when I think there's this almost, what is it? How does it work? Why does it work that way? So,
or will it be as good, right? I've heard that sentiment of it's not real coding, And
of course, that part is it's not real. Yeah, it's not good enough. I need to do it myself. That is another one. So have you tried any of the automation things?
So that is on. So yes and no is the answer I'm going to give. So yes, I have tried. I think it's agent.ai. I've played around with, and I think it's super cool. But that is on my 2026 list. Is I want to do a deep dive into. I think Make is going to be my tool of choice, or Zapier, but I want to really go and do a deep dive there. In our Minneapolis Women in AI group, that we have a Slack channel, and that's the.
And how do people, if someone is in Minneapolis, how can they get involved in this Minneapolis?
Yes, I will put it on my website. I have a whole resource section on my web on kathillcontag.com. But I'll put it there. I think if you Google Minnesota Women in AI, the Substack will come up. You can also reach out to me and I'll send you an invite.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
It's been a great resource, because we have a Slack channel, and one of the questions of the day was, what are you looking to learn in 2026? And it was like, everyone's number one is like this automations. And we sort of lump automations and agents into that bundle.
Yeah. I just added a QR code here for your LinkedIn. So
perfect.
If you scan this QR code, it will find Kat's LinkedIn, and you can connect with her and try and figure out how to get involved with anything she's involved in. But I thought I'd just put it up there. Obviously, they can search for your name on LinkedIn. Perfect. But if you like a QR code, here is one. And okay, so that group has really helped from a resource point of view. And I am curious. So when you were building and when you are building AI Resource, is that also a great resource for you to get feedback, that group?
Yes, it's great. Yeah. So both idea generation and feedback. And I think what's so special about it is that we're all learning, right? And no one, it's a community where no one, I don't think anyone feels like behind or that they don't really know. It's like, we're all trying to figure this out, right? Like we're all trying to figure out AI, what's the best way to use it. And so everyone's sharing ideas and things they've built or tools that they really enjoy using. And so I think, similar to this podcast that you're putting on and developing, it's a great way to just share and learn. And I think that for those people who are interested about learning, like these types of resources are just great. They're invaluable.
Yeah, I do agree with like having people around you to get input and feedback is so valuable. And I want to ask a question about if you were looking at people, if you were to, okay, this is a crazy question maybe. If you were to create AI Resource from scratch again. Okay. I haven't asked you this question before. I didn't even prep you for this question.
I'm right.
Yeah, but I feel like you probably have a good answer to it. If you were to do it all over again, like you start from zero, is there something that really worked? You obviously talked about the PRD that really worked for you. Yeah. Is there something else you would do? Is there something you would do differently or absolutely definitely repeat?
Yeah, the number one that comes to mind is an absolute would repeat. And this is, again, for people maybe new to building with AI. Again, I have this linked on my website, but understanding something called design systems. Okay. And so this was new to me. I had a friend, his name's Adam Berg, the webinar that we did together, where we talk about the design system and how I implemented it in AI Resource is linked on my website. He sent me some information about design systems the weekend before the hackathon. Okay. And I think I just inherently, I love branding and, I come from the marketing world. And so, but I'm not traditionally educated as a designer or trained as a designer. But so for those who might be in the same boat as I was, a design system is basically a way to format your design, whether through brand, like color palette, typography, so the fonts that you use, all the way down to icon styles. And so if you can, in your prompt, and I did this with that initial first prompt, you know where I'm going with this. If you can explain what the design system is, it just makes everything else so much easier. Any other change you're going to make, it all goes back to that design system. And so they know what color is probably going to look good here. What fonts are we using? Don't go off and, use, papyrus. You're using, but
it makes it look cohesive and makes it look much more professional. And I think what's so cool about AI Resource, it does have its own identity, because I do feel like a lot of AI generated UIs, you could almost be like, oh, they all look the same, but AI Resource has a very distinct identity.
Yes. Well, thank you, first of all, but yes. And I think the other piece is you distinguish what you're building, because you have your own design system. But there's also something psychological, especially when you're on a timed hackathon, or just even if you're not, even if you're building something, when there's like a dopamine hit, I'm sure. I haven't researched this, but I'm sure there's a dopamine hit when you get it back, right? Yeah. Right? Because you're like, oh, it's so cool. Look at what
so exciting.
Yes. Yeah. And it is it is even more exciting when it comes back and it looks good. Right. And so if you can nail the design system, again, shout out to Adam for sharing this with me. But if you can nail the design system, or at least get to a point where you've thought through like color palette, typography, all that kind of stuff, you're going to be dazzled as you build it. And there's something cool and motivating about that as you're continuing to build.
So the identity, the visual identity that we see of AI research today, is that what you started with as well?
Yes. Yep. So, and the term for that, so for people familiar with the website Gumroad, it uses a design system called neo-brutalism. And that was what I learned in this, is I didn't know there were terms for these different design systems. So Apple, for example, Apple uses something called liquid glass. So all the the buttons, they look kind of like glass.
Yeah, which whether we like it or not is a different question.
Right. Yes. We'll table that for discussion. But yeah, so I went into a deep dive after the hackathon, and I was like, I've got to learn all the terms. I need to, because it was like, okay, you're building your artist's palette. That's how I viewed it. I'm sure anyone with a design background who's listening is absolutely cringing, but it was just such a big unlock for me.
I think it's so cool, because something that I struggle with sometimes, I have a very repeatable, boring, I come from a back-end infrastructure engineering perspective. So very good with big back-end systems.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what I really like about Lovable is that it allows me to create user interfaces without having to take a whole long loop via designers or via some front-end engineers. I can build something on top of back-end systems fairly easily. But it's super valuable that you share this, because I feel like I just found one way of things to look, and I've just done that. And I think I didn't know there were words for these different ones. So thank you for sharing that, because now maybe I can experiment with some other looks that isn't the same all over again. I think that's so fun.
I'll send you a website after this that I found through Reddit that categorized all of the different design system themes.
So I do have my I know we're coming up on time, but I have my very standard question.
Yes.
You have touched on many of these, but I think I've seen people coming and going into the live stream. So some people have not heard you say this. And when we look at what the landscape looks like today for builders, for people creating things, what advice would you like to give them, and how can they believe in themselves to create something? Because you said early on in this conversation, at one point you stood in front of the mirror, but instead of standing in front of the mirror, what could you say to people, and what advice would you give to them?
I think all you need is 15.
Oh, did you break up? I lost you. Hopefully that restores. I don't know if it's me or Kat. If you are watching live, you can. Okay, do I got Kat back? I lost you there for a second.
Oh, okay. No, yeah.
Okay, great. I think I lost you. I don't know if it's me or everyone lost you, but I did.
Okay, so, we're back.
Yeah. So if you want to repeat that, what advice would you give to people?
So I was just saying, start small. All you need is 15 minutes. That was what I carved out for myself. Like I said, I did not have much time to think about what problem do you want to solve. So, everyone has something they're passionate about and excited about. And so if you see something that could be done a better way, give yourself 15 minutes and think about how would you build something out in a better way. And then from there, you can literally open up Lovable. They have a free version you don't even have to pay money for. And you can prompt it and just see what comes back, and see if that is, if I'm definitely pushing Lovable here. I'm a big fan, but
I'm a big fan too. So, you're among friends. It's fine.
Yeah. But really, I mean, it's like, it's the gateway drug, right? I don't know how else to phrase it, but give yourself 15 minutes, think about the problem. You don't have to do a fancy PRD. That's for like, once you're like, I'm going to go solve this and I want to build it out. Don't do that. Just throw in a prompt for Lovable and see what you'll get back, because I think you'll be really surprised with how much you can do in just 15 minutes.
That's really exciting advice. Like, you don't have to block half a day out or a whole day.
Yeah.
And you can see if it's for you. Like, is this going to help you? But I also think it's so exciting that we have now, as an industry, unlocked this opportunity for people to create, because I've always believed the software engineering is a creative activity.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I agree.
Really
I'm not a software engineer, but now knowing, just seeing what other people could build, for sure. If you're a builder and a creator, and engineers are, right? And now you don't have to know coding to be dangerous, right?
To be dangerous, yes. But I, as a software engineer, it was never the coding or writing of coding that I thought was fun. It was what you created on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So it was just the road. And I think the road now has much more like paved paths, and you can walk down them with ease. And I think tools like Lovable and other tools out there makes that easier in so many ways, because really isn't the outcome and the impact what we really care about.
Yeah, that's well said. I like that.
So I'm so excited that people like you are able to bring your expertise, your perspectives, and create software that helps people and helps yourselves. And I think there's also this wonderful then next sort of opportunity, as you spoke about. You didn't get to integrate AI into your app, but I think that's the next wonderful step. And as you said, one of the missions of AI research will help people even do some of understanding that AI integration more. And I think that's so cool. And again, people who want to contribute, if you're listening to this either replay or live, I was really excited that Kat mentioned that anyone can come in and help add prompts to AI Recess. Even though Kat is amazing and has great prompts, the community, I guess, is what really is going to build this to a great library.
Yes. Yeah.
So any other like shout outs or call outs or call to actions that you would like to give to anyone listening in or watching this on replay?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is don't be a stranger. If you are thinking about building with AI, you haven't started yet, or you're dabbling, like, let's keep talking about this. I love it. I can talk forever about this. So please reach out. I'm happy to help in any way. Like I shared, I have some resources on my website, but happy to share, anything else that you might be stuck on, or, resources of that nature.
Yeah. So. Just showing the link here to your website. So you obviously mentioned you had lots of information on there. So if anyone wants to go there, the QR code is for AI Recess that anyone can obviously also check out. Just adding a few comments here so we can airecess.com. Very easy to find.
Trying to keep it simple.
We like simple. Love simple. And if anyone has questions for Kat that you think about when you're watching the replay, always leave comments and tag her. As you said, she's happy to chat. And we're going to wrap up here. But my name is Erica Hughberg, and I work at Tetrate. And Tetrate does provide a bunch of different ways to interact with AI providers. So that is on router.tetrate.ai. I just added that QR code there. So I'm just going to put the link in here in the comments. You can check that out as well. If you wanted to connect to Claude, OpenAI, Grok, whatever it is, you can bring your own keys or use a unified key from Tetrate that gives you access to models and providers. So if that is something you're into, you can obviously check it out too. And you get $5 of free credits if you sign up. So also thank you, Aman, for joining us and being here for the duration of the live stream. It's so nice to have you. And I'll say thank you and say goodbye and thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.